4 months ago, I did a series of 5 videos to celebrate the 1-year anniversary of this channel. They were all conceptualized when I had fewer than 600 subscribers and made when I had a little over 700. When episode 52.1 went live, I had 750 or so subs, and I was thinking that I may be able to break 1,000 by year's end. And that's an important number. It gives you the opportunity to join YouTube's partner program. Assuming you also have 4,000 cumulative watch hours, which I had already hit by that point, so it seems if you get your numbers legitimately, the chance of getting to the subscriber threshold without the watch time is unlikely, at least. That means minuscule amounts of ad money, as well as community posts, and just a general feeling of validation. I was so sure that I wouldn't be hitting that milestone anytime soon that I saw fit to call out my inability to run ads in episode 52.1. The latter trollier folks I found can typically be sent away by reminding them how genuinely pathetic it is that they are taking time out of their lives getting mad at an internet review channel that doesn't even have enough popularity to run ads. But by the end of the week, things had changed dramatically. A 3-month-old review of post-hardcore band Dance Gavin Dance picked up steam seemingly out of nowhere, and my subscriber count went with it. By the end of the following week, it had doubled, and it has more than doubled again in the time since. Towards the end of last month, I filled out some tax information, confirmed my bank numbers, and shortly thereafter received an email from Google telling me that I would be getting my first ever deposit of $152.24. It was exciting. But with it came a host of bigger picture concerns that I hadn't quite prepared myself for, and a lot of questions I still don't have answers to. Hello, by the way, and welcome to the Week I Review. You can call me a hobbyist. And today, I'm talking about YouTube and psychology and AdSense and COPPA. Actually, let's decide on that first one. Hella oversimplification of an uncomfortably broad mandate. COPPA, or the 1998 Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, is a law that, thanks to a settlement agreement with YouTube, allows the Federal Trade Commission to sue folks for upwards of $42,000 if they determine that children under the age of 13 might find content enjoyable, but its creator did not explicitly mark it as made for kids. The FTC is supposed to come up with some more useful guidelines soon, but they haven't at the time that I'm shooting this, and we are getting uncomfortably close to that January 1st implementation. Anyways, even though nothing on the Week I Review is made for kids or realistically something that any kid would enjoy, I marked 4 of my videos as made for kids anyway. It is not that I actually think the FTC would come after me, or that if they were truly concerned about the concept of a video that they could watch it and then think, yes, this is for children. But I watched a dozen smart people talking about it, and they made me exactly paranoid enough that subjects like moon pies, Reese's peanut butter cups, Islands of Adventure, and Pokemon Detective Pikachu would come too close to that vague line, so I feel better marking them that way than not, especially since none of them are getting watched anyway. The reality is that kids would definitely hate all of those videos, but they would definitely hate them less than I would hate filing for bankruptcy. YouTube is a fickle thing. That week where the Dance Gavin Dance video decoupled in viewership was a genuine rush, and I spent a not great amount of time looking at the YouTube Studio app during it. But that feeling I got when I saw that suddenly my subscriber count had gone up by 2 or 3 or 4 people in the previous hour, I wanted more of that. I noticed the video had a surprising amount of traffic coming from third-party sources, and Reddit in particular. While unfortunately YouTube's analytics only give domains as opposed to direct links, it wasn't hard to find the post on the band's dedicated subreddit, which had gotten a few dozen upvotes and a couple of nice comments. Considering the video had fairly few views up to that point, even that was huge to me. I mean, it was true then and remains so that I do basically no promotion for this channel other than tweeting most of the videos and sometimes mentioning them on Facebook. I hadn't seriously thought about Reddit in the previous 3 years probably, and I thought, maybe I should start using Reddit again. I did not start using Reddit again. But the truth is, Reddit traffic fell off after a couple of days, and the algorithm took over. During that video's real height, almost everyone was coming from the suggested and browse features, the algorithm's recommendations, and I would bet at least $17 that it was because I posted those 5 videos in 5 days. We all know that the algorithm fucking loves it some consistency, especially if the videos are on the long side. And 2 of the longest videos on this channel were posted back to back that week, and those seem to have been something of a tipping point. If you look at the numbers on the Dance Gavin Dance video, you see it had started going up a little bit the previous week and was, doing nicely over those first days. On Thursday, it turns up just enough to push me over the edge to 1,000 subscribers and get me signing up to be part of that sweet, sweet partner program. But then on Saturday, the video basically exploded in a way that no video had before or has since. But not for long. You see, I didn't post a video the following week, the only week I've ever skipped because I had just done 75 minutes of hashtag content and deserved a break. And come Thursday, when the algorithm saw that 5-day run was a fluke, it began to slow again. By the time I posted the following Monday, it had leveled off. The lesson I took from this is one that a lot of folks have repeated. Keep on grinding. I had intended for the week I review year 2 to be a little less beholden to my schedule, do maybe 45 videos in the year. This was something I said I would do in episode 52.1. But what happened to the Dance Gavin Dance video got into my head. I'm now more likely to do 2 videos in a week than none. If I really needed to, I would take a Monday off, but borderline cases now fall into the overwork camp, and that's not great. The video's drop-off coincided with something else, my disputing a copyright claim. Over the weekend, I had been accepted into the partner program and monetized everything that could be. A few were demonetized for content reasons, although I ultimately appealed these and got them back to green, and I have yet to get hit again. But there was also one video blocked on copyright grounds, and it just so happened to be the only one really worth having ads on. I used clips from Dance Gavin Dance's music in the context of that review, and so it got hit by the Content ID copyright matching system. The use is absolutely fair by those standards, but I didn't really understand how the disputing system worked, and so for the video's peak viewership, I decided not to fight it. But on Wednesday, out of frustration over the whole thing, I decided to dispute the claim, explaining that it was a review and why the brief snippet that I had used was critical to the video. Once submitted, the company has 30 days to respond, and all ad money is put into escrow in the interim. If the copyright holder accepts the dispute or doesn't respond, the money goes to the creator. Otherwise, it stays with the holder. In this case, they never addressed the claim, and after 30 days, the money went to me. But as I said, this was the day things began to level off, so the money I got was pretty minimal, indeed less than the $17 I just put up as wager. I assumed then that this would be the new order of operations. Content ID claims something, the company sees that I'm not trying to cannibalize their sales or whatever, and then they just let it go. Much delayed payment, but eventual payment nonetheless. I learned the hard way that isn't the case in what has been easily the most infuriating experience I've had on this platform. I wasn't surprised that my review of kawaii metal group Baby Metal got hit, but this claim was a little different because it also blocked the video in several countries, and that was not cool with me. So I disputed it, obviously. And my dispute was rejected. I was livid. Especially because this video had by far the best start of any video on this channel. Like, it is not even close, getting multiple thousand views in the first day. And here I was, caught between my art and my analytics. If I wanted to make it go away, I could have just cut out the claimed section of the video. YouTube makes doing that easy. but doing so would have compromised the integrity of the video itself. There was also the option to full-on appeal, which I would have been completely right to do, but a failed appeal would have kicked me out of the partner program entirely. Considering Amuse Inc. rejected my claim like a bunch of straight trash, I wasn't going to take the risk. If I had money, I would have legit looked into suing international corporations because fuck those guys, but I don't, which I guess is sort of the point of all of this. So even though I'm 100% in the right, they get to take my $20 or whatever in ad revenue because the system is bad. I went back and forth on whether to cut the clips out, but I ultimately decided not to do it because I felt it would have genuinely harmed the quality of the video to not have them there. They were critical to the effect, and I'm not about that life. And because I'm not about that life, the video died. You see the day that it flatlined? That's when the appeal got rejected, and I'm still mad about it. But it taught me a valuable lesson about my powerlessness in these situations, and it's something I now have to think about every time I want to use copyrighted material, particularly in band reviews, because there is a high likelihood that I will get content ID'd if I use music, and a non-zero chance that I might lose a dispute. And if that happens, the video's fucked. So there's a fight I have to have every time I want to play a snippet. Is it worth it? And I have to remind myself why I started this in the first place, that I did the damn thing for a year without even the hint of a potential payment and was okay with that. And that the addition of AdSense to the channel needs to not get in the way of the thing that I want to make. It's not about the money. It was never about the money, and it needs to stay that way. This is why, for the most part, I don't use mid-rolls, ads in the middle of videos. It would be financially beneficial for me to use them, and since most of my videos are over 10 minutes long, it is an option I have more often than not. And yet, historically, I've used them exactly once, in my review of music licensing subscription services, which has clearly delineated sections, making an ad break more natural. Though if we're being 100% honest, that wasn't the only factor in my decision. That video's average CPM, or ad rate per 1,000 views, is massively higher than any of my others, around $30 versus the $5 to $8 range that's typical elsewhere. And when there's a 17-minute video that took that much work to make with ad rates that high, it's kind of hard to mentally say, nah, I'm not going to run an extra ad on that. But on a regular video, I just don't like the idea of interrupting my monologue with anything other than more monologue. While writing this video, I sort of convinced myself that it's okay if used during an appropriate stop. Like, if I finish one thought and start a completely different one in a way that feels kind of awkward because I'm not always great at transitions, then throwing something in that gap doesn't seem unreasonable to me. But if I don't have a moment like that, I can't do it. This was a back and forth I had with my Parasite review, particularly once it started gaining traction. By the time the video passed 10,000 views, I was kind of kicking myself. I mean, it's 22 minutes long. Who posts 22-minute videos on YouTube and doesn't have an ad break or 3 in them? Me, apparently. And more than 60,000 views in, I have remained committed because it would have felt weird to cut up the video. The only appropriate point would be around 7.5 minutes in, where I'd transition from background discussion to the movie itself. And that just didn't feel right. I mean, what kind of jerk would I have to be to talk about other things for nearly 8 minutes and then put in an ad right when I'm about to get to the subject of the video? A very different kind of jerk than I am. While we're on the subject of CPM, though, I think it's worth digging a little bit into the ads themselves, and specifically the ability I have to control what is and is not allowed to play on this channel. This first came up when my dad asked me why I was running an ad for the NRA, which I hadn't known I was, and also very much didn't want to be doing. So I immediately looked into how to block particular providers so I could stop them, along with the president and his cadre of media sycophants, from spouting their trash anywhere near my videos. Unfortunately, there's no big list of conservative ad buyers that I can just block en masse, so I'm doing it in pieces as they come to my attention. At the same time, I realized that I have the ability to block entire categories of advertisements, so I dove into that. There are hundreds of these categories. It's not the most intuitive categorization hierarchy I've ever seen, but after poking around, I think I've largely gotten the bad stuff. Anything I have a moral objection to went first, like guns or diuretic teas, and I've expanded from there. This almost certainly has had an adverse effect on my revenue, because I am sure that at least some of these more controversial ads pay better. But that's fine. I don't want their money, because it's not about the money. And I will sit here and repeat that as many times as I have to. And while I do that, I'm going to run an ad because irony is funny. It's not about the money. It's not about the money. It's not about the money. Not about the money. Not about the money. Not about the money. Okay, I believe me. But you may still not. Perhaps because you subscribed as a result of my Parasite video, or at least you're aware of what that video's title is. When I started the week I review, I only named things what they were. First Man, the IMAX Experience, movie review, or Anthony Jeselnik, Fire in the Maternity Ward, comedy review. There was no editorializing, because I put a clickbait title before the intro drum fill. But these took up too much time, and also I realized Dan Olson of Folding Ideas makes the same joke in his video descriptions, so I changed my process and decided to give things a modicum of flavor up front. But it's important to me that that flavor isn't just clickbait. Everything I put in the title must pay off in the video. If I say former martial artist reacts, it is because I am writing the review specifically from my perspective as someone who did karate for a decade. If I call Parasite the movie Joker wishes it could be, it is because that was literally a text I sent to my friend immediately after the movie ended, though it's missing the actual message's expletives. People who hate on that video for its title ignore the fact that my extremely critical review of Joker itself has a bland as hell name. Because if I don't feel a statement accurately summarizes at least some critical part of the video, it doesn't go in the title. It would be easy as hell to use hyperbolic language everywhere, and for my first post-Parasite review of a Korean film, I genuinely considered going with some variation of Save the Green Planet deserves Old Boy's place in the canon, which is definitely baitier, but I didn't feel like was justified by the content, so I implied it instead. But in any case, a name is meaningless if the algorithm doesn't see fit to surface the thing in the first place. The truth is that that review's success undoubtedly stems from the fact that for its first full week, searching Parasite review showed my dumb face in one of the top 3 slots. Parasite movie review, on the other hand, dropped me way down in the rankings. So arbitrary. The name may have helped me at that point, in fact, I'm certain it did, but without the search placement, it would have meant nothing. And I have a different video's numbers to back that up. Salo, or The 120 Days of Saddam, is the best awful movie, which was the first quote-unquote interesting title I ever used on this channel, all the way back in January. A few weeks after I posted that, it started to do quite well by my standards, getting dozens or even hundreds of views a day. That was because it was showing high up in the search results. The vast majority of traffic on that video has come from search. Even just searching the word Salo on YouTube was bringing me up in the first set of thumbnails. Great, right? And yeah. Until the end of March, where the video basically flatlined, dropping to around 10 views a day. Why? Because I was gone from those search results. And fuck if I know why, but a month later, I jumped back up and the video has been going slow and steady ever since, actually surpassing Dance Gavin Dance as my most viewed video shortly before Parasite came and confused everything. But there's no question that impacting searchability is my best shot at having any control over a video's relative success. I mean, that's about as no-brainer as they come. So let me give a specific example. Although the Dance Gavin Dance video's viewership was mostly a result of recommendations, I noticed that the phrases react and reaction were common drivers of the search traffic I was getting. So I've leaned into that by auto-tagging all of my videos react and reaction. I imagine it hasn't hurt anywhere, and on occasion, it has definitely helped. Before Amuse Inc. wrecked my baby metal video, the majority of the traffic for that came from people looking for a baby metal reaction. But for whatever I think I learn, it's always a surprise when something actually does well. Hey, take the Trevor Noah video. I didn't see that coming at all. Comedy videos have, on the whole, done reasonably well on this channel. But the Loud and Clear review did comparative gangbusters, breaking 10,000 views in just a few weeks and becoming the first video to beat Parasite in daily numbers, though it didn't do that for very long. There's also no takeaway from how that video did. While the most common path for me is randomly high search placement that eventually translates to more recommendations from the algorithm, Loud and Clear's review came from recommendations basically at the start. And once it stopped being recommended, people stopped watching it. All of this made my obsession with the YouTube Studio app that much more dangerous, because the analytics make it so easy to see in effectively real time how things are going for you. But even if I can see what the searches are or what it's being recommended against, the why is still so unclear. I frequently get a pop-up on the studio page asking me how well I understand my channel's performance. I laugh every single time. Additionally, while working on this video, I was asked to take part in a creator survey, one of the questions of which was, which statement best reflects your overall opinion and perceptions about earning money with ads on YouTube? And it took me an entire minute to answer that I didn't know. It made it seem like I didn't have a strong opinion, though clearly it's strong enough to write 4,000 gosh damn words about. And yet, it has this outsized impact on my well-being in that moment. And everything is so extra. I'm not just happy when things are going well, I'm elated. When things are bad, I'm devastated. And when I realized that, I knew I had to step back. I tried to move the app to a harder to reach spot on my phone so I would be less likely to open it dozens of times a day. And then I removed it from the home screen altogether, but that wasn't nearly enough. Eventually, I just straight up removed it from my phone. And even that isn't the be-all, end-all I'd like, but I've more or less been able to keep it off of my phone every day, except for posting day, when I feel compelled to respond to would-be commenters sooner than later. Tuesday through Sunday, though, I check once when I wake up, and then again when I get home from work. That's more than enough to know where I'm at without getting constantly caught up in the rush of seeing numbers move or people saying nice things or mean things or any kinds of things. More than that is just too gosh damn much. In October, I went to a Patreon event. I honestly felt unqualified to be there given my low but extremely appreciated number of supporters on that platform. But I met someone who had 0 patrons, so that made me feel slightly better. Anyways, I ended up talking to Evan Gregory of the Gregory Brothers, aka Schmoyoho. I have been a fan of theirs since Auto-Tune the News #2 more than a decade ago, so it was pretty awesome to get to hear him talk about the way that the family has approached the platform over all of this time. He said that they make the content they want, running under the thus far correct assumption that a few things will go viral and bankroll the stuff that doesn't do quite as well. But they're not going to try to manufacture hits because they don't want to compromise on the art. Ultimately, that's why they turn to Patreon and why a lot of people do. I have an entire video about why I did, so feel free to watch that if you're curious. And I respect them immensely for that. I know it's not a model most folks can emulate or would feel safe trying to, but it also seems like the kind of thing that might apply a little bit to a channel like mine. Not that reviews go viral per se, but in the sense that some of my subjects are substantially more zeitgeisty than others. Parasite happened to be one, and so did Trevor Noah. Everything in between or since? Not so much. Neither of those were anything like what I would need if I wanted ad revenue that could come close to offsetting, say, Broadway tickets, but they speak to a kind of potential for this channel to have its hits over time. And that's kind of gratifying since I genuinely wasn't sure if that was possible. Shame I have no idea when or where they'll come. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you particularly to my patrons, my mom, Hamry and Marco, Kat Saracata, Benjamin Schiff, Anthony Cole, @BlasianFMA, Magnolia Denton, and Elliot Fowler. If you'd like to see more, please subscribe. If you like this one, cool. If not, oh well, I'm sorry. Next week will be the best of the decade films list. It's going to be quite the undertaking for me. It's a long video. I hope to see you then.